Hey guys, Mishi Mavros here, and today I wanted to talk about BPD and our lack of identity and why we feel like our disorder is our entire life. It can really consume us. And, it further leads us to even more depression down the road because we alienate ourselves because we feel, so different from everyone around us. The normal people, the neurotypicals that don't go through what we go through, it kind of becomes our whole life, and that's all that we can really relate to is our illness. And when people ask us about characteristics about ourselves, we're constantly being like, all we can think about is, I guess, I'm manipulative, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I have anger, um, you know, I have really like a lot of problems in my relationships and stuff like that. And it's like, it's such a negative spiral, and it's so hard to get out of. We stop thinking about all the things that once made us happy and all of the positive things about us because we've grown so accustomed to that dark place, and the depth and the pity, the self-pity, and just wallowing in it, and the depression is so addicting in and of itself because you know when you're happy and when you're feeling good, you kind of wait for the other shoe to drop. It kind of, you're kind of, it doesn't feel comfortable. The comfortability comes in that sad feeling because at least you can't get hurt anymore. You're already at that stage, like whatever else comes. You're kind of expecting it. Whereas being happy is being kind of vulnerable, and it's not really something we're used to. So, we end up sabotaging ourselves, and we end up sabotaging relationships or jobs or whatever because we just feel like A, we don't deserve it, and B, like we're going to end up ruining it anyway, so might as well ruin it on our own terms while we can, to avoid the unknown and avoid an even worse blow up or, other things that could happen. We just kind of don't really want the best for ourselves, and it's really sad. You know, we we have such a hard time pinpointing who we are as people, like things that make us happy. Again, like things that we once loved and cherished, things can change all the time. Sometimes I'm like, I want to do this as a job. I want to do this as a job. I like acting. I like doing hair. I like playing with kids. Like I've had so many jobs and just sifting through them because I feel like I'm not good enough for them. And I do have like that one thing that I want to do, but since I don't feel it happening, I just continuously switch back and forth between jobs and likes and passions and people, just because at the end of the day, when you're not happy with yourself, you don't really know what you want if you don't really know yourself at all. And sometimes we feel like we're not a person at all. We feel like, you know sometimes I feel like I'm a narrator in the story, but I don't know, like I don't feel like I myself am the character. I don't feel like I'm a character in it. I feel like everyone else in my life is characters in a movie, and I'm just the one watching it. I'm watching it from like a third person perspective, like bird's eye. It's weird. But again, that's makes it very hard to really kind of set goals for yourself and look towards the future promisingly, because it's just like, well, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Like, I never really think that far ahead. I'm kind of just depressed all the time. I kind of just see myself being depressed all the time. I don't really know if I'm going to be better. And then we think like we can't plan things in advance because then what if something happens? What if our BPD gets in the way once again? It's better to just not plan anything. It's better to just not shoot for the stars because you're just worried like something's going to ruin it. Something is always ruin it in our lives. So what's the point in trying this time? And I understand that that is extremely toxic for ourselves, and our mental health is just going to keep deteriorating, but it's a really, really hard hole to crawl out of. And that sense of self takes years and years to rebuild because, when you have no foundation to start off on, you have to rebuild everything. You have to, all of the relationships and all of the things that you've done and things that you've made have ended poorly, and you have nothing really to go off of what a positive, healthy relationship is supposed to be. Even with self-love, we don't really, we've probably never seen what true self-love really is, so we have nothing to go off of. And again, that fear of wanting to succeed, feeling like you don't deserve it, feeling like it's going to end poorly anyways. It just keeps us from doing anything. It keeps us sometimes even from getting help, because we either feel like we don't deserve the help, or we feel like, what's good's really gonna do? You know, maybe you've tried to do something good for yourself before and it's ended poorly, and it's like, what's the point? Spending all that time working on yourself when you don't even really love yourself is like, it doesn't seem worth it. You know, might as well just sit at home in bed where you're safe and you're comfortable and just rot there, kind of thing, right? Like, that's how I used to feel, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I still feel like that a lot of the time. I feel like, what's the point in going to work and making, way less money than a lot of other people, when people they get to go to school for free. I have to pay for my school. I have to pay for my living. I have to pay for everything. Where there's people that are just living life, like going on vacations and making more money because they got more experiences and they got more, they're more privileged. So it's like, what's the point, Like, no matter how hard you work, it seems like you're never going to get to that point where you are comfortable. It seems like you always have to prove yourself way more than everyone else. And that's how I feel. And that's honestly a lot of times what keeps me up at night, just wondering, like, what's the point and stuff. So I understand a lot of you guys too, and it is definitely something to do with our borderline personality disorder, and we have to realize that that is not healthy. It's obviously not going to put us above, or it's not going to help us out at all. So I mean, there's no point in thinking about it. Of course you can't help it, like not being able to help what you're thinking about, and the thoughts are so consuming sometimes. So I find that just kind of like sitting down with yourself and being like, okay, what do I enjoy? What do I usually look at when I'm on social media and stuff? Like, okay, I like watching cute baby videos, cute cat videos. That means I like babies and animals. You're constantly finding yourself watching makeup tutorials. That means you enjoy makeup. So, surrounding yourself with that positivity, something that you truly like, that passion, even if it's going to change in a little while, at least you did something to make yourself happy. And, working towards either, owning a cat, or one day being able to have a family and being able to give that child a life that it deserves, is something that I really look forward to. So giving yourself a reason to get better. And if it's something to do with art, like you love makeup, or you love filming, you love just drawing and stuff, it can be really hard when you're depressed to get around to it, because you're like, it's gonna be shit anyways, like, what's the point? But just connecting with other people that have the same interests as you, to kind of get you to, like, to push you and stuff, right? And just joining maybe groups on Facebook about stuff that you love, and getting inspired, I think, is really truly important. And obviously too, getting the right help is all we can really do to kind of get ourselves out of that rut where you're just like, what have I done? People have asked me, like, back in 2014, 2015, even 2016, they're like, oh, what did you do? And honestly, I don't recall doing anything. I don't really know who I was back then. I don't really recall being a person at all. I didn't really do anything with my life. I kind of just rotted. Like, like a bear goes into the cave to hibernate. Like, I felt like I hibernated for 3 years. Like, there's nothing that I can show for it. So that can then further lead to even more depression and stuff like that. So just stopping it, like nipping it in the bud while we can, and just, loving yourself, because, like, you have to, like, either you love yourself or you're just going to continue hating yourself. And again, if you feel like you should hate yourself, there's no good. There's nothing to really live for. There is, and you just, I guess you haven't found it yet, or, the right help hasn't been presented to you, and it takes so long. Like, it is so hard, and I know it's so hard, and just kind of talking about it and stuff, it helps to vent, even to people that you don't even know, like on the internet. It's a slow process, and I really do understand that it is really hard. Like, I understand I'm going through quite a hard time myself too. Just, who am I? Like, taking that next step into, like, adulthood. And then, being an adult with a mental illness. Like, no one plans to have that happen, So that's just kind of what's been in my head, in terms of, like, sense of self. Like, who are we? A lack of identity, and how borderline personality disorder can kind of destroy that for us. So thank you guys so much for once again listening to me ramble. And I hope you're having a great day and a great weekend. So stay strong, everyone. Thanks.